What you guys, I am done with Windows 11. That's what this video is about today, and why I've gone back to Windows 10 LTSE on my new PC. Now, this is a brand new computer I built, and I installed Windows 11 25H2 in the hope that it was going to be better than 24H2, and boy was I wrong. It's the same old thing that's causing lots of problems, and that is why I have gone back to Windows 10 LTSE. You can see here it's already debloated a fair bit outside the box. I did install this with auto unattended XML file so I could set it up the way I like, and I've just tweaked it a little bit and got it the way I want it. But you can see here we're running a system that is pretty snappy and pretty lightweight. I've got it fully updated here. I've got it set to manual updates. I don't want Microsoft pushing out a weird update that's going to break the system. Windows 11 25H2 was freezing completely on me, and I had to force end task to try to rescue the system. It's been doing that for God knows how long, and there's been quite a few other people on our Discord server that is going through the same problems. So I'm done with the fighting with the updates. So I've gone back to Windows 10 here. Now, unfortunately, you're going to have to use an LTSE version or an IoT LTSE version if you want to go down that route. But I'm using an LTSE version because I do have a legit key for it from my business, which I can use. You guys may have to find a way of getting a key. You can do that on your own back. But other than that, you can see all of the settings have been turned off. Got it set exactly how I had it before I decided to go back to Windows 11 25H2 when I built this PC. And I think I'm going to stay on this for at least another 2 years till 2027 until Microsoft sort out Windows 11, if they ever do. Now, let's have a quick word from today's video sponsor, CD Key Sales. They've got a Black Friday sale on right now. You can use my promo code as well to get a further 30% discount. They've got all your operating system needs and also your office needs. If you need any of those software, then that's where you can get it from. Check out the links in the video description. To get the discount, all you need to do is choose your product that you want to buy. And then once you get to the buy now page, all you need to do is in this little promo box here, you just need to use my promotion code, capital B, capital R 09, and apply that to your order and get a 30% discount on all purchases on CD Key Sales. Once they send you your key, you will then be able to go to the change button in the activation center, paste in your key, click next, and then click activate, and you'll have a full version of Windows 10 or Windows 11. Anyway, back to the video. So you can see inside the apps and features, I've removed everything in here apart from the snipping tool and paint. And these are just legacy versions of this. I can uninstall these if I wish and use third-party apps to take snippets off the screen or even play my media if I want to move away from Microsoft apps as much as possible. I can do. I've already uninstalled Edge and all the other stuff on the system. So it's a pretty clean system and all my settings are set here. So pretty much I'm ready to go. So what is the reasoning for me to go from Windows 11 to Windows 10 now? A lot of people might be thinking I'm crazy because Windows 11 is the newest, latest, greatest option from Microsoft. And unfortunately, if they keep continuing to force AI, which I don't want on my system, this doesn't have any AI on it whatsoever. It's not going to be getting major feature updates, this version of Windows, because it's an older version of Windows 10 and it will be left alone. It will still get critical security updates for this operating system, and that's pretty much about it. As you can see right here, this is a brand new computer. We've got an AMD Ryzen 9800X3D processor on here, and it works perfectly fine. There was a few issues with the drivers that I had to work around, but that's the specs of the brand new computer right here. And it is so smooth and so fast. There is no bogging down of the system because of the utilization is pretty saturated with all the bloat that comes within Windows 11. You don't get any of this with Windows 10. And it is super fast booting up. And it just seems a lot nicer to work on. And I'm going to use it for the next couple of years, I think, until Microsoft bring something to the table with Windows 11, if they can, that convinces me to go back. Now, if you're wondering what the end of life is for these, The Windows 10 Enterprise LTSC 2021 is January 12th, 2027. Now remember, the version of Windows is 21H2. This is not the final 22H2. This is 21H2, and end of mainstream will be January 12th, 2027. And this might be where you're going to start after this fact to see issues with software companies stopping support because the mainstream ended support on that date. If you look at the Windows 10 IoT Enterprise LTSC 2021, that also has 21H2, and support for extended support ends on January 13th, 2032. Now, once you start getting into those years, that will be the critical years for a lot of people on a working system that will have issues because software manufacturers will stop ceasing support for it, because mainstream, this is the mainstream date for both, would have ended on January 12th, 2027. The extended end date for the IoT versions is January 13th, 2032. So you are going to be only getting very minor updates in the extended end date. And remember, this wasn't really designed for desktop use. So a lot of software companies might start running into issues with these particular versions of Windows 10 because 21H2 would have been pretty old by that date. So bear that in mind. So you can see this is 21H2 right here on Windows 10 IoT LTSE, and it will be the same for Windows 10 LTSE versions as well. Now, on a standard Windows 10 system and not the LTSE or IoT LTSE versions, end of life for that will end in October 2026, and that will be the end of life for Windows 10 for those versions. Now, I just want to quickly take a look at the stat counter here briefly, and we'll come back to it in a second because I want to bring this bit of information to you because I think it's important. If you're looking to go to Zorin OS, you'll see 1 million Zorin downloads. There's lots of big YouTube channels that are talking about all these people that have jumped over to Linux and jumped over to Zorin OS or even Linux itself. There's even people talking about 500 million or 400 million that have all left Windows and gone to Linux. And let me tell you, this is not true. It's purely not true because there's so much misinformation on the internet. Users and governments have been losing trust with Windows and Microsoft. I mean, what do they think is going to happen, that all these companies are going to start using Linux and ditch Windows? It's not going to happen. It's a load of nonsense. It really is. And this is all clickbait stuff. This is what get people thinking that all this is true. It says Linux has been making gains in no small part because of Microsoft's Windows blunders. The Linux desktop has continued its slow growth. I mean, it's either slow growth or it's a massive growth. I would call 500 million a massive growth. I would even call nearly 780,000 Windows people ditch Windows to go to Linux. I would call that not a small growth. I'd call that a large growth. And if we look right here, you'll see, and I know this is a stat counter and it's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a general idea of the users of Windows and the users of Linux. And let me just turn off all of these, and I want you to concentrate on the Linux bar here. This is all of the Linux users that are using, and it's been counted. You can see right here, right back 4.3% in October 2024 is listed there. And they gained quite a bit, and it went to 4.0, 4.13, and then it started dropping, 3.72, and then 3.8, and then 3.98, and then went back up to 4. And this has been the same for years. It's never changed. But now look, it's starting to plummet back down. It's gone since August. September, it's dropping. 2.95 right back in October. Now, that's hardly a massive fluctuation. It's actually dropped. And of course, where are all these people coming from? Because it's not showing up on the Linux list here. Now, a lot of people will start saying, it's the unknown section. If you look at the unknown, it's 13%. They're all Linux. That's not true either. That's mobile data, that's Windows, that's also Linux, and a bunch of other stuff. Now, these stats might not be 100% accurate, but they're near as damn it. And you can see here, unknown on stack counter represents devices that stack counter systems cannot identify, including custom mobile operating systems, especially from China, modified Linux distributions, developer versions of Windows, and browsers and privacy features that obscure the operating system information for web pages and other information like that. So you can see it is a bit of Linux, it is a bit of Windows. It's also a lot of Chinese mobiles that are also being detected as unknown. So where have all them people gone? Because they're definitely not gone to Linux and they're definitely not installing it. They might be downloading it, but they're not installing it. Anyway, let's just take a look here at the device manager. This was one of the big problems I run into, and this was missing drivers, unknown drivers. And when I installed this version of Windows, for some reason, the drivers wouldn't install on some of the devices. It was unknown and it wouldn't detect them. I tried a drivers pack and it still couldn't find them. And that was quite problematic. There was no network driver. As you can see there, I couldn't connect to the internet. So if you've only got one computer, you could be, in a pretty difficult situation. So I did some hardware IDs on these unknown drivers and I started searching for them and I found them. And I had to use a mixture, believe it or not, of Windows 11 INF files to integrate them in to get rid of those errors to make the actual device work properly. And I wish I recorded it, but I just had to get them from the manufacturer's website. So I went over here for my motherboard and I downloaded all of the drivers here. And you would have thought that there's a section here that says Windows 11 and Windows 10. And I installed all the Windows 10 drivers and I was still getting missing drivers. And the reason why is because they're not the same. If you look right here, the versions are different for Windows 11 and Windows 10. But what I did do is use some of the Windows 11 driver information and some of the driver files, and it did manage to fix the issue that I had, and it started to work. Now, if you want to see a full video on setting up this version of Windows, then let me know in the comments section. I'll do my best to make that video for you to show you how to get it all up and running. But if you've got an issue like this, I can show you again in the next video. But you can see right here, hardware ID, you need this number at the top here. You can do a search for it, and basically that will find the driver that you need. Don't be downloading none of these driver tools and stuff like that because they can cause more problems. So when you come in here, you're obviously going to say, locate the driver. You're going to click on browse and then it will find it. If you say, let me pick here, there might be some drivers here that you can use as well to get it to recognize them. But that's basically what I did. And I used Windows 10 and Windows 11, believe it or not, on this system to get it all working smoothly. And that's pretty much that. Now, I just want to quickly show people the task manager. For some reason, they get fixated with this performance panel right here, CPU, and also the memory. They do like to see that. The processes was at 76. It's now gone back up to 106. I am recording the screen with some software, and I've got some other stuff going on. So it probably is why it's raised, and it will do. It will go up and down. People show this on a virtual machine and with nothing installed on the system. Once you start installing software like Adobe and all that sort of stuff, that process count is going to go up. And for the Linux fanboys out there, what distros would I recommend myself? Well, I'll go through it here. Even the haters, I really don't care. You continue hating, it doesn't bother me. But hey, what we're going to do is choose Zorin OS. That is a very good option for a lot of people to use on a system. If you've got an old system that's unsupported and you can't use Windows 11 and you don't want to use it as unsupported hardware, then Zorin OS might be a good option for you. It's very easy to install and set up. I have made videos on this. You can check out my channel, and it's pretty straightforward and easy to set up. Deepin is another decent little option here. Deepin 25, you can see there. And of course, you're going to get the Linux fanboys in the comments section telling you don't install that, install this one instead. They'll argue over anything in there. But again, you choose which ones you like. These are the ones that I've looked at and I do quite like them. It's open source, it's user friendly, privacy protection, Obviously, they don't collect data and telemetry and all that sort of stuff. Linux Mint has to be in there because it is a real go-to for a lot of people that have left Windows to go over to Linux. So that is going to be on the list. Even Ubuntu in some cases might make the list. You're going to get a lot of Linux people not recommending that at all probably, but it is a pretty rock solid option for people that want a rock solid operating system. Elementary OS is another option that you can use, which is quite nice as well. And again, if you want to see videos on any of this sort of stuff or any other sort of videos on recommendations or setup or anything like that, then let me know in the comments section. I'll do my best to make those videos for you. Of course, everyone's going to have an opinion or have a choice on what they think is best. And if you think that something is better than this, then by all means, let people know in the comments section down below to help people choose what is the right option for them and help them transition over from Windows to Linux rather than posting pointless comments like just install Linux. That's not helping anyone, and you're not helping people to start use Linux, because all that does is drives people away. And that's probably why you're sitting so low at 2.93%, because from what I've seen, the community is pretty toxic. So stop being part of the problem and become part of the solution for Windows users transitioning over to Linux, and be more helpful instead of just being a hater online that doesn't suit you or look good for Linux at all. Anyway, I just want to end this video taking a look at the stat counter for Windows completely so you can see Windows 11 and Windows 10. Windows 11 is at 53.79%. You can see there's a little dip in Windows 11. And it keeps doing this scissor action, sort of up and down. And Windows 10 took a major big dip and it's gone back up again. And I think people are trying Windows 11 and they're just jumping back to Windows 10. Anyway, with that said, I think that's going to be about it. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Just want to say a quick shout out to my YouTube members. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.